Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Limited to Limitless Actualization series. My name is Isabel, Chiara, and I'm presenting to all of you some of the most amazing healers, life coaches, and visionaries in the world to uncover and help remove limitations and blocks that are keeping you from having your limitless life. And today I have the pleasure of introducing all of you to Susan Shatzer, who is, I consider, a huge visionary in life. We've been chatting, and Susan, welcome.
Thank you so much. Actually, my last name is Shatzer, kind of like William Shatner without an N. It's a Z, Shatzer.
Okay, Shatzer.
Yeah, I can be a
You know
Shatzer.
what? Since I've spoken to you, and I've spoken to you a couple of times, I've never gotten your last name right. What is that?
That's right. I think it's changing energetically. Just like my hair color.
Right.
Just you never know who's going to show up, what it's going to look like.
Right. You're so funny. So Susan's a health professional, and she has 10 best-selling books. And one of them is called I'm Having It, and the other one's The Energy of Spirit. She's an international consciousness facilitator, and she works with clients to unlock their limitless life. And now she's embarking on a TV show that's called Unlocking Your Limitless Life that you can find on binge watching. I didn't even know that was a program or an app. And so you can watch her program. So Susan, I'm so thankful that you're here. And so we've gotten to know each other in the last 3 days?
Yeah, it has been a whirlwind, but of course it was all divinely orchestrated for us because I'm from Massachusetts, you're from Connecticut. So we both have, in fact, I wore this just for you, Isabel, today. I'm in Orlando, Florida, but this is my velvety, this is my winter wear.
Well, it's freezing up here still. Yesterday we had a nice spring day, but today a little cold again.
So I wore this just for you. This is my little velvety thing. This is what we call winter wear here in Florida. It's velvet with sleeveless.
Right. And your sequins and your pink. So funny. So, Susan, I would love to hear about your path because your life wasn't always limitless. It was actually pretty limited for a long time.
Yeah, I did. I've spent a lot of my life because it was what we were taught to do. We were taught to find the answer and come to the conclusion, and you had to get the right answer and make the best choice. And we were taught to do that because our parents were preparing us for school because you had to get the right answer and make a good choice and sit in your seat and raise your hand and good manners and all that kind of stuff. So they actually led us and taught us into coming to conclusions, all the time. And really, what I've discovered is asking a question is the key to unlocking your limitless possibilities. So anytime you do anything else except ask a question, because a question always empowers you, anything else disempowers you. So that's one of the key things that I've been able to really latch onto because 8 months after my son was born, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. I realized I was in like an abusive marriage. My closest family was 8 states away. This was not the life that I truly had hoped to live. And it was a mentor, Isabel, who said to me, what if this is what you've been asking for? And I had to sit back and I couldn't say yes and I couldn't say no. And the first time in my life, I had been asked a question and it wasn't like, well, which doctor you're going to next and what test are you going to have? And, what is that going to mean? And what is the outcome? And it was all conclusion my whole life. So after that question, it literally opened up like all these amazing possibilities. And so I have just launched out into the infinite possibilities that are available to us through asking questions.
So your illness is what kind of projected you into this whole, you went out and started searching for mentors, and tell us what more of like how you ended up. I mean, you wrote 10 books, so you didn't just have start asking questions and then come upon 10 books. What motivated you? What?
Yeah, so it was one of those moments where I had to come to Jesus. It was like, look, I'm either going to a third world country, getting a stem cell transplant, or taking myself off the planet. Like, this does not work for me.
Right.
Something has to change. Like, I would not have come here and signed up for this. So
Right.
it was like an all call to the universe that, you know, something had to change, and I'm having it. And that's when the book I'm Having It came out. And it's co-authored, and I think there's like 20 other authors, and it's all that moment in all of our lives where we just said, look, it's done. Whatever this pattern is, whatever this paradigm is, whatever this, you know, past life, you know, karmic thing that's happening, we're done. This is, we're out of here. Like, we're changing this.
Right.
And we all stepped into something else. So that was a huge aspect of it. And then all the other books really came from experiences that I've had since I've started to wake up. And I call it a waking up because I became aware that there was a possibility that I do have control over, you know, my thoughts, because thoughts create things. And I really took it, you know, like, I'm responsible for my reality. And when you own that, you're able to look at it and ask questions about how you'd like to shape it and change it and move it differently.
Right. So you know, I find it really interesting because sometimes people are not really having a great life. I mean, it's not the thing to say to them, but I do it sometimes. Like, I say to them sometimes, well, you kind of created it, and they look at you like, oh my God. But the truth is, right?
Yes.
If you can own that you do create it on some level. I mean, you're not consciously creating illness, but you're creating some form of, you know, a negative feeling or a negative limitation in your body that people can, you know, that as soon as you start to say, yeah, I own this, you can transform it, like you just said.
Yeah. You know, Isabel, I wanted to share something with you and your audience, and it's what's hidden inside your biggest problem. So whatever your biggest problem is right now, for me, it happened to be chronic illness. I had an 8-month-old, you know, no family, abusive husband. Hidden inside that was my greatest possibility. And people are like thinking, like, how could that, where could you like where'd you find that possibility? Like, what rock did you turn over to pull a possibility out of that? And I said, I asked a question. So would you like to know the question I asked?
I would love to hear that question.
So I asked, what's right about this I'm not getting?
Okay.
And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like, I was in an abusive, you know, relationship, abusive marriage, and I was not going to be able to parent the way I truly had hoped to parent. I was not going to be able to do what I was here to do. My son was not going to be able to be the young man that he is now, 16 years later, almost 17. If that individual was still in our life. So what did I do? I went and created something that he could not handle. And it was my awareness when I asked that question that, look, he chose what worked for him.
Right.
And leaving, walking out, abandoning us was what worked for him.
Right.
And all these judgments were like projected on us, and I had them, and it was conclusions about deadbeat dad, until death do you part, and in sickness and in health, and how could you do that, and all that kind of stuff. Literally, I am grateful. And it came to me, it's like, had he not walked, I would not be doing what I'm doing now. I probably would not be here. And my son would not have the life that he has. So we went from so limited. I mean, it was like, there was no hope, no limit. Like, suicide was the option kind of a thing, to, wow, this is incredible to be here. Like, there's so many amazing things. Like, I am so grateful for him, and, you know, for what I'm creating, because the TV show, literally Unlocking Your Limitless Life, we host, you know, people from all around the world. You know, we film here in Orlando to actually bring out what's hidden, what their problem was. What was the thing that was hidden in there that ended up being their greatest possibility?
I love that.
It's dynamic. And that's why I fell in love with the title of this summit, Limited to Limitless.
Yeah, because that's really where people, I mean, a lot of people have to hit bottom, and it could be in anything. It could be in their careers, like they're just not happy in their careers, and they're just going through the motions day to day, which is, you know, what many people that were already interviewed have spoken about. They were actually they had a really great life, and all of a sudden they weren't happy. So they had to find, then they had to justify themselves on some level, but then they have really find deep within themselves, like what would make them, what is going to float their boat, what's their passion, what's their, their thing in life. And everybody knew they had something, like you did, right? You could have just, I assume at that point you had a terminal illness. You could have just chosen to die. It would have been easier on some level. Some people think it's easier to die than do many things, but that wasn't, you weren't even thinking of that. You had other designs for yourself, right?
Yeah, well, in my case, it was chronic, not terminal. Um,
Okay.
maybe terminal at the end, but it's the prognosis is like you just progressively get worse. Like there was no getting better. And now I don't have the symptoms that I even had 16 years ago.
Right.
But I'm still in tune with my body. I, still see my doctors regularly. We still follow through on all the labs and the blood work and things like that because, you just never know what else, may show up. And, but it's like, it's happiness. The happiness is back in where it's not struggle and angst and challenge and not enough and lack and want and need. Now it's like joy and fun and just this conscious ease, with just being with people, just being in life.
So tell me some of the techniques that you use to help people get to their limitless life. I know that the questioning, I love that part of it, is a big part of it. And what other modalities or techniques do you suggest with people?
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I have a private coaching business as well. So I work one-on-one or in small groups with people at all different stages and levels of where they are. So people who, if you realize that something's not working for you, you're already on the way. It's people who don't have the awareness that something's not working for them, that, they're just it's what I kind of call like the sleeper. They're just like going through the motions and they may be really happy with what they're doing. And that's great because, we need all kinds of people doing all kinds of things. But it's the people that are realizing that like what I have and what I've created and what I'm doing, like doesn't actually work for me. Those are the people that, are looking for something else. They know there's something else there. They just can't figure out what it is. And so we get together and we do a deep dive into eliminating all of the stuff that you've taken on through like all kind of lifetimes. Like we uncover stuff that you've picked up from when you were in utero, in past lives. We uncover things that people have decided was real, right, true, and relevant in their life because they were taught that. Which actually aren't for them. And it's this big epiphany that starts to take place, like just layers and layers and layers of what you have gets shed. It's all the stuff that you're carrying around with you, like you feel your heart is heavy, you feel, like you're dragged down and weighted and you don't feel like happy and clear. Those are the kind of things we do. And we do a breath technique that I do with it because everything's energy. Scientists have, pretty much explained how, the amount of energy that's here in the universe is the same amount of energy that was here in the universe was first created. And, you can't create it or destroy it. It just transforms. So guess what? We've actually been here for the life of the universe.
That's right.
And like material things like, the food we eat, the technology we use, the clothes we wear, it's all energy.
Right.
And so every molecule is consciousness. And so when you're willing to, because I've just kind of discovered, Isabel, where science meets awareness. So we bring in the scientific proof, the scientific facts, and then we bring in our awareness and we're able to manipulate reality.
Right.
So fun.
Right. So in part of the process, so the people you're actually getting right down to, you're getting into the breath work and they're starting to release where some of their trauma or their limitations are in their body. Is that what?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like where, like I've worked with a lot of people who've had a lot of abuse, whether it's drug abuse or physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it happens to be. It's like there's actually what's the right thing. So what's right about this that you're not getting? And there is something that's right, even about those kind of situations that the person's not getting. And it empowers them, literally. So they're not the victim that they thought they were. And there's the guilt leaves, the anger, rage, fury, hate, all that kind of stuff. Any blame that they have leaves because they actually realize that, oh my God, I chose this. Oh my God, I'm doing this. Wow. Like I co-created this here on the planet. Right. And so that's really, really, really powerful. And people are able to let stuff go instantaneously. And I have clients, Isabel, who said to me, you know, I should have just come to you in the beginning. So I could have saved decades of time and hundreds of thousands of dollars in therapy.
I think it's true. I think it's like who you work with. Also, I believe that whoever you work with is that person helps you to really help you get your consciousness more aware in the first place. And then I feel like depending on what kind of situation that person has had and what they can see also depends on how long sometimes your own realization happens, like how quick it is for you to realize what's limiting you, what's standing in your way, so that they can also move quicker because of the work you've done. I feel like a lot of people are able to move quicker in their life once they've gotten to you, correct?
Yeah, sort of like, so everything has a vibrational frequency. So, anger, rage, guilt, shame, that kind of is very low. And like gratitude, love, peace, is up at the higher resonances. So someone because like attracts like here on the planet. So it's sort of like when someone is asking a question or they're looking for something, their vibrational resonance and mine get a match. So I show up in their reality or they show up in my reality, whether it's through Facebook, a phone call, an email, I bump into someone at an event. Their vibrational resonance is a match with mine. So it's like I have something that they're requiring, or they're having something that I'm requiring. And sort of like, what if this is what we've been asking for? And a lot of times that's exactly what it is.
That's true. They didn't just happen to find you.
No,
they were ready for you.
Yeah. Because when you look at, just take wealth and poverty, for instance, the wealthy don't go hang out with the impoverished, and the people who are impoverished don't go hang out and go to school and live and party, where the wealthy do. It's like their vibrational resonances are completely different. And that's all it is. Not that one's good or bad and one's right or wrong, just they're just different resonances.
Right. Well, that's a good place to speak about judgment right now, which is something that you speak about. Can you elaborate a little on the judgment perspective? What happens when we start judging situations that we're trying to create, that we want?
Yes. So judgment is one of the ways here on planet Earth we were taught you can create from. So if you judge something is wrong, then you have to do the opposite to be right. And if you judge something is good, then the opposite also has to be true. And what that is that's polarity, or what science calls duality and polarity. And that keeps you jockeying back and forth, and you can't actually be in neutral. When you're in neutral, then you have access to all possibilities. If you're on the good side or the bad side, the right side or the wrong side, you can only receive those. So for instance, my point of view is, I have something about, I don't know, the car I drive, say, then there's nothing else that can show up to me that's different, because I've already decided something is a certain way about the car I drive, or the relationship I'm in, or the business I have. If you allow all of that to go and be in the place of neutrality, which is, okay, well, what else is there? And there's the question. So you invite in a different possibility. And you step out of conclusion and step out of judgment, because those just lock you up and prevent you from receiving. And if you judge any part of your life, then other things can't show up as well. It's like you start to put this wall around you. So you start judging and you have this wall around you. So if you're looking for greater income streams, it can't get you because you have that wall around you. So even though you're just judging your body, or you're just judging your living location or your car or career, you still have a wall around you all the way around of judgment, and other things that you're looking for, like, a relationship, or, passive income streams, or whatever that happens to be for you, it can't get to you. So it has to be like an all, you have to break down the walls, get rid of them, the fences, the wire, stable things. You gotta, like, the gates, everything has to come down.
Right. So even if you're creating good judgment, so to speak, you're creating a little box around that also, whatever you're trying to create.
Yeah, good and right are like the hardest things for people to kind of get, because they've been taught that that's right, and you feel good, and you've got to be happy, and it's like you're not allowed to have a bad day or feel sad, and what's wrong with you, and there's all of that kind of stuff. And then literally, if you're too happy, you're wrong too. People are like, well, what is she taking?
Right.
So it's like, you can't be sad and you can't be happy. You know what I mean? It's like, you're wrong if you do and you're wrong if you don't, on both ways. So yeah, being in neutrality is a great space to be, because then you can invite in like tons of possibilities. So in working with me, like, Isabel, we literally like dump your cup out, because right now everyone's cup is so full. And whatever else we put in, it's just going to land on the floor, or the table. Like, you can't actually receive it. It's like when you're up to here, you can't hear anything else. You just need to let it out. So we just take your cup and we dump it out, and we allow you to have more space in there. And with more space, you have the ability then to actually activate and bring into your life that which you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. So tell us what some of the people that you've worked with have, tell us a good story. I love, you've been around so many people. Besides your own story is great.
Yeah. So I had a husband and wife come, and we were chatting together, and his parents, one of his family members, I think it was his dad, was having a lot of memory discomfort, and not being able to remember as much, and it may be a dementia, Alzheimer's kind of thing. And so he was the son, he was close, and the mom was frail, and they're getting older in life. Well, he literally took on the role and the responsibility and the job of trying to figure this all out for them. And we sat back and we worked together on, so you're an infinite being. He's like, yeah. And they're an infinite being. Yeah. And even infants that are born are also infinite beings. But we have this conclusion that because they're old, or they're a baby, they're young, they're too old or too young to actually do these kind of things. It's like, wait a minute. When we step back and look at that, Isabel, like, we're all choosing for us. And she's choosing for her, and he was choosing for him. And he had such a discomfort with it that he was on a cruise and he could not have fun. And he ended the cruise, flew back home early, and was just like not at ease, not at peace. He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with himself, and literally allowing him to process through what was right about this for them that he wasn't getting, that they actually had power and he didn't need to do that. And he had volunteered. So there's that, are you the healer? Are you the savior? Are you the helper?
Right.
Right. Well, all those things actually disempower other people. So it's kind of like, it's a whole new way of showing up. Really, it's a whole new way of languaging. It's a whole new way of being with yourself and with others in your life, that allows them to actually be empowered and have choice and make decisions for themselves, which allows you to be you and choose what works for you. And so 2 weeks later, he went on another cruise, and he had the best time he's ever had.
Oh, wow. They gave him a little limitless fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another woman who she was going to go on vacation, and so she left. And her mom was sick, and her mom was in the hospital, but they weren't sure if she was going to go or stay. And so she had promised her family this vacation, and she chose to like leave and go on vacation, and her mom had passed away. So for decades she had been carrying this, I should have been there, I should have stayed, and all this kind of stuff. And actually, when we walked into that, what's right about this you're not getting, with that question, she discovered that if she had stayed, her mom would not have been able to go. she would have been there keeping her mom here. And when she left and went on vacation, it actually was the gift to her mom that her mom required in order for her mom to cross over. And it was this huge empowerment for her of all this guilt of all these years that she had been taking on. It was extremely, extremely powerful.
So
So
freeing, huh?
yeah, yeah. Literally hidden inside your biggest problem truly is your greatest possibility.
Right. Well, that's amazing. So, thank you for these stories and your discussions on living in a limitless life. But I just really quick about your TV show, because I find that totally interesting. How do you find your guests? How do you find they just show up? You just know all these people, they're your clients. What?
All the Yeah, so I search for people, and people are searching for me. People who have a vision, a mission, and a message.
Mm-hmm.
What's amazing about the platform that we use is that you actually have control over your content versus the other platforms that are available right now. So, Facebook has there's a reason why there's not a 1-800 number Facebook and a 1-800 number YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So the analytics and dynamics of all that kind of stuff actually is to prevent us from co-creating together. So I know many of you have noticed at the beginning of the year, all of your group sizes dropped. And Facebook had made the decision that if, no one is accepting the invitation, then they weren't the ones who opted in, something like that, then they got kicked out. And literally people's group sizes like dropped, sometimes better than half. And it was that kind of a thing where we weren't warned about it. We weren't told it was coming. We weren't given the opportunity to reach out to people and say, hey, you're going to get you're going to get dropped, opt in if you're ready or if you're still interested. And we just woke up and it was gone. So there's all of these powers that be that are controlling, not only our mainstream media, but also our social media as well. And
Right.
it's designed to people who know, like, and share your stuff. Like, you don't actually show up in their feed anymore, because if they can keep all of us separated, then they can control the rate of change that we are creating in this life. So with our platform, we're on all 7 continents, on every smart device. So people can watch your TV series on their smartphone and their smartwatch, all the way to big screen TVs. I had a gentleman in a foreign country, and he said to the bartender, "Is that a smart TV?" And the bartender says, "Well, why, yes, it is." He said, "Okay, well, will you put this channel thing on?" So he put his channel there. All of a sudden in the bar, like, his TV series, his shows were running all over the bar, and people were like, "Hey, that's you, right?" And he's like, "What?" And like, they wanted his business cards. They were giving him their business cards. They wanted to connect with them. He said it was like the easiest way to promote himself. It was. I had a woman in season 1. She was in the airport, and she just happened to be sitting in the little area where you get on the plane, like the staging area. I'm not sure. And this woman turned to her and said, "Well, what is it that you do? What do you do?" And she goes, "Oh, here, let me show you." And she pulls it up on her phone, because we have an app on the phone. She hands it to her. The woman watched 5 to 8 minutes, whips out her credit card, hands it to her, and says, "I'm hiring you.
Oh my God, amazing.
Until I'm on your books." And she was like,
amazing.
"I don't know I'll ever have business cards anymore." She goes, like, "I have virtual business cards now." She has her own show. So
and so we watch it on Download Binge.
Yeah, so
Binge TV.
Yeah. Well, it's Binge Networks.
Okay.
So you can download that on your app, Binge Networks. When you go online on the internet, you can look it up by unlockingyourlimitlesslife.com, which is the name of the TV show.
Okay.
You can also, when you have Apple TV and Amazon Fire Stick and Roku, you can download the Binge channel, and we're on there.
Okay.
As well, and then you can look us up. And just so you know, Isabel, that Roku has surpassed Google with video clicks, clicks more. And this was back in the fall of last year. And guess who Google owns?
Roku?
No, YouTube.
Oh, they own YouTube, right.
So Google owns YouTube, and and Facebook owns Instagram, and Roku surpasses all of it.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yes. So this is how you have control over your content.
Cool. So Susan has a great gift for all of us. And it's 12 free resources to get you more visibility in your life. Do you want to just talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I would love to. Whether we're starting out in business, we have a club, that we're passionate about, a hobby, a foundation, a charity. We do use social media for a lot of our networking, and there'll always be a place for our social media. And I love social media. I just know that there's an aspect of it that I was like, I'm creating a workaround with this, having more creation with it. And in doing that, I actually identified a bunch of different free resources that are software or their applications or their website locations that actually help you to create greater ease in your life, and you're not doing so much stuff manually, that you can take these and implement them in your business. And they all start out at like a free level, and with everyone we have the hyperlink to it right there. You don't have to go research it. We give you the name of it, we explain it, and there's a hyperlink right there for you to access all that information and create. And then if you'd like to expand more, you can do that in the future, but this will definitely get you started, and we're giving you 12 free resources.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. And you can just hit the bottom below this interview and you'll have access to Susan's 12 free resources to get more visibility. I thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure talking to you, and it's great to get to know you also. And I'm going to watch your beautiful series that you have on right now here, Unlocking Your Limitless Life. I'm so excited.
Down here to Florida.
When I come down there, I am going to call you. But I'm so excited about your series. It's amazing. It's just timely right now, right? I mean, isn't it? Why do we need to live a limited life, right? Like, everybody has access to abundance. It's not that the other person does, it's that everyone does. There's enough. Someone said to me once, wait, there's enough abundance for everyone. It's not first one person or another.
Yes, absolutely. You are so true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isabel, so much. It has been a true pleasure of not only speaking with you, but for your audience as well.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Have a great day.
You too.